Book buddies, who are those 5 people who are shaping your life? Yes, there are a total of 5 people who influence your entire life, your decisions, your habits, your goals, your ambition, and eventually your future. And you know what's the interesting part? You do not consciously choose them, they just happen to be around you and continue shaping who you become. These people include our friends, family, colleagues, mentors, neighbors, or even social media influencers. Think of it this way. Imagine you have no interest in cycling. One day, however, your neighbor or friend takes you to a cycling club. You enjoy it, and then almost randomly you start going cycling every week. After 2 months, you have lost weight, your health is twice as good, and you have made some new friends there. Now you prioritize your physical health. You begin learning different techniques and you start making conscious efforts to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So, how did this all happen? It all happened due to a single event, your friend convincing you to go cycling. And there you go. You were enthralled by the experience. And that experience eventually gave you positive vibes. Are you getting it? Small things, small changes, small gestures eventually add up and have bigger impact on your life. Daily we spend hours and hours scrolling through social media, and the kind of content we watch eventually influences who we become or how we think. We start acting like the people we follow. We buy the products our favorite influencers use. In many ways, we slowly fall into the trap of influence. It is this very phenomena of influence which inspired Phil Graffoe to write a fascinating and interesting book, The Principle of the Five Chairs. Phil Graffoe is a student of practical philosophy who has spent more than 30 years observing human behavior. Rather than relying only on academic theories, he has dedicated decades to understanding why people think, behave, and make decisions the way they do. In this interesting book, Phil argues that there are 5 metaphorical chairs always surrounding us, and there are 5 people sitting on them. We may know them or we may not, but those 5 people are constantly influencing us every single day. You need to remember this, that you cannot remove those chairs, and those chairs cannot be empty. So now the question is, who is sitting on them? Every conversation you have, every friend you make, every colleague you work with, every mentor you admire, every social media feed you scroll through, and every online community you become a part of is competing for one of those chairs. As I said earlier, that the people sitting on these chairs eventually shape your behavior, your emotions, your standards, your ambitions, and eventually your future. And the fascinating part is that this influence is almost invisible. You never get to notice it. Yet over time, their words become your thoughts, their standards become your standards, and their attitudes become your attitudes. Let's go back to the cycling example I gave you. Your friend didn't persuade you to change your lifestyle. Neither did he give you a motivational speech about fitness. He just introduced you to a new event. And that event eventually shaped your priorities, habits, and your lifestyle. This is exactly how the 5 chairs work. They are always teaching you even when nobody is speaking. Human beings naturally learn through observation, repetition, familiarity, and the desire to belong. Whether we realize it or not, we slowly become like the people we spend most time with. The first chair Phil Graffoe talks about is the chair of ambition, perhaps the most important chair of your life. The person sitting on this chair never lets you settle down for an average life. They don't simply comfort you, they challenge you. They see potential in you that you may not even see in yourself. And through their actions, they inspire you to become better. One of the most fascinating ideas in this chapter is that ambition is contagious. We often tend to take ambition as a personal quality. Either you have it or you don't. But Phil argues that ambition spreads from one person to another. If you spend enough time with people who read books, build businesses, learn new skills, stay disciplined, and constantly work on themselves, their habits slowly begin to influence you. Their standards become your standards, and their discipline starts exposing your excuses. Think about your own life. If all your friends spend their weekends learning something new, exercising, or working on meaningful projects, sooner or later you will feel inspired to do the same. On the other hand, if everyone around you wastes time, complains about life, and avoids responsibility, that lifestyle also begins to feel normal. That's why your lifestyle either stretches you or shrinks you. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. That's not arrogance, it's practical wisdom. Human beings naturally adapt to the people around them. We imitate their habits, adopt their attitudes, and gradually become more like them. Remember, book buddies, that the people occupying the chair of ambition aren't necessarily the ones who constantly praise you. In fact, their lives quietly challenge you. They read while others binge watch Netflix. They build while others procrastinate. They keep moving while others keep making excuses. Without saying a single word, their life asks you one powerful question: if I can do it, why can't you? That's why choosing who gets to sit on the chair of ambition is perhaps one of the most important decisions you will take in your life. The second chair is what Phil Graffoe calls the chair of accountability. This chair belongs to someone who is honest enough to tell you what you need to hear, not simply what you want to hear. Let's be honest, all of us love compliments. We love people who encourage us and make us feel good. But let me tell you, my friends, people who actually make you grow, make you accountable, wake you up to the reality of life. They may not always make us comfortable, but they help us become better. The truth is that human mind is incredibly good at making excuses. Whenever we fail to keep a promise, to wake up early, exercise, read a book, or finish an important project, we immediately begin justifying our behavior. We tell ourselves that we were too busy, too tired, or that we'll start next Monday. The problem isn't that we make these excuses once in a while. The real danger happens when these excuses eventually become a part of ourself, a part of our identity, and we are not able to escape it. This is where accountability becomes so valuable. An accountable person doesn't let you hide behind excuses. Instead of accepting your reasons at face value, they ask difficult questions. You said this goal was important to you, so what happened? Those questions force you to confront reality rather than escape from it. But accountability isn't always another person. Once in a while, it can be your close friend, your journal in which you write your daily entries, or your conscience, your inner voice, which doesn't let you lie to yourself. Think of two friends who both decide to get fit. One misses the gym for a week and simply tells himself, I'll start again next month. No one questions him, so the habit slowly disappears. The other has a friend who calls and says, You told me this goal mattered to you. Why did you stop? That simple conversation can be the difference between giving up and getting back on track. The people sitting on the chair of accountability don't exist to criticize you or to make you feel guilty. They want to keep you aligned to the person who you want to become. So ask yourself, who in your life is honest enough to challenge you when you're making excuses? And more importantly, when they speak, are you willing to listen or not? If you have finally found this individual or a thing, make him immediately sit on the chair of accountability. The third chair is the chair of wisdom. This chair should be occupied by someone who has already traveled the road you're trying to take. Many of us spend years struggling with problems that someone else has already faced and solved. We make career decisions, enter relationships, start businesses, deal with failure, and search for answers as though nobody has ever experienced these situations before. But often the guidance we need already exists in the experience of someone around us. The person sitting in the chair of wisdom is not necessarily the most educated, the richest, or even the most intelligent person you know. Wisdom is different from intelligence. Intelligence may help you understand a difficult problem, but wisdom helps you identify which problem is worth solving. Knowledge tells you what is possible, but wisdom helps you decide what is sensible. A wise person sees beyond the present moment. They notice patterns, consequences, emotional pressures, and hidden risks that less experienced people may miss. They usually don't rush to give simple answers because they understand that life is complicated. Instead, they ask you better questions and help you see life from a different perspective. This becomes especially important when life is uncertain. We often want guarantees before making a major life decision, but life very rarely gives us complete information, isn't it? So, whether you are changing careers, starting a business, choosing a partner, or making a financial decision, some uncertainty will always remain. Wise people understand that uncertainty cannot always be removed, it must be managed. They collect the best information available, make a thoughtful decision, and remain flexible enough to adjust if circumstances change. Another sign of wisdom is knowing what to ignore. In the modern world, we are bombarded with unlimited stimuli, things which are viciously competing with each other to get our attention. Many people waste their energy fighting battles that have little importance. Wise people understand that attention is limited. They know that every comment does not deserve a reply, every disagreement does not need to be won, and every problem does not require equal attention. Wisdom also requires intellectual humility. A genuinely wise person is comfortable in saying that I don't know, I may be wrong, or help me understand this thing. Like Socrates used to say, all I know is that I know nothing. This is not a sign of weakness, this is a sign of strength. This shows that a person values truth more than ego. Remember, when you know everything, that is the day when you stop learning. The chair of wisdom is often occupied by someone who has struggled, failed, recovered, and grown. Their advice carries weight because it has been tested by reality. So ask yourself, who in your life has already walked the road you are trying to travel? And are you humble enough to listen to them? The fourth chair is the chair of character. This chair is occupied by people whose actions quietly shape the person you become. We often tend to think that character is something we build on our own. But the reality, my friend, is that our integrity, behavior, and values are heavily influenced by people we spend the most time with. Think about it in this way. If you're surrounded by people who lie, make excuses, break promises, or take shortcuts whenever things get difficult, after a while those behaviors stop looking wrong to you. They start looking normal. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by people who are honest, responsible, and disciplined even in the toughest of circumstances, these things, these qualities eventually become normal for you as well. You begin to raise your own standards without anyone forcing you to do so. The interesting thing about people with strong character is that they rarely preach. They don't always tell others to be honest or responsible. Instead, they lead by example. They admit their mistakes instead of blaming others. They give the credit where it's due, and they do the right thing even when no one is watching. Their actions become a silent lesson that influences everyone around them. So ask yourself, who is sitting on your chair of character? Is it someone who is lowering your standards without you even noticing it? Or someone who is helping you become a better person? The fifth chair is the chair of energy. This chair is occupied by people who don't just inspire you, but they energize you. They have a way of making you want to take action. After spending time with them, you don't just leave with new ideas, you leave wanting to do something. Now, observe the people around your vicinity, in your friends and family circle as well. And do let me know who deserves to sit on the chair of energy. Have you ever met someone like this? You will notice that they don't spend hours complaining about problems or making excuses. Instead, they are always building something, learning something, creating something, or working toward a meaningful goal. They are always seeing the positive side of every situation. Their enthusiasm is contagious, and without realizing it, you begin matching their pace. This chair reminds us that success is not only about knowledge or talent, it's about momentum. Some people, when they move, they not only create momentum for themselves, but also for the people around them. If you have found someone like this, get hold of this individual. Keep him or her closer to you because he deserves to sit on the chair of energy. Now, book buddies, this is the most important part of the video. It is time for an audit. Observe the people around you, not to judge them, but to identify who are having those invisible influences on you. Think about the people you actually spend time with, your family, your closest friends, your colleagues, your mentor, or anyone whose opinion genuinely affects your decisions. Now ask yourself a simple question. If I continue spending time with these same people for the next 5 years, will I become more like the person I want to be? I know it's a difficult question because most often than not, the answer is really uncomfortable because it makes you think that you will have to leave people who are perhaps very close to you. I'm not saying that these people are bad people and you have to absolutely ostracize them from your life. But these are the ones who are not taking you in the direction you want to go. Phil is also isn't suggesting that you cut people out of your life. Your family will continue to be your family. Your friends will continue to be your friends. His point is much simpler. Not every voice deserves equal influence over your thinking. Learn to decide whose advice deserves the greatest weight. Here he also introduces another fascinating idea, the empty chair. Now what happens that sometimes the biggest problem isn't that the wrong person is influencing you, but it's that the right person is missing altogether. Maybe everyone around you encourages your dreams, but no one has the wisdom to guide you when things become difficult. Perhaps you need a mentor, a coach, or a thoughtful colleague, or even the wisdom of a book of a particular author. Sometimes one new influence can completely change the direction of your life. But the audit doesn't end here, my friends. Phil tells us to turn the mirror around. Instead of only asking who is influencing me, ask another question. Whose chair am I occupying? Think about your children, your friends, your family, or your colleagues. Whether you realize it or not, but someone is constantly watching you. They're observing the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you operate, and the way you handle people. So it's very important that you analyze which chair you are occupying in someone else's life. Some people may also argue here that why only 5 chairs? They can be more. Phil answers this question as well. Phil says 5 isn't a magical number, it's a metaphor. In most people's life, there are usually a handful of individuals whose opinions carry far more weight than everyone else's. Those are the people whose habits, attitudes, and beliefs gradually become our own. So, book buddies, the whole idea is that you are a sum of the people you surround yourself with. So, make sure you're surrounded by the best. Phil has written a very thought provoking book, and you must read it. There are certain more concepts that you need to understand in the book. For example, the chair of action and the chair of courage. I won't explain everything, so make sure that the principle of the 5 chairs is part of your next reading list. The link from where the book can be bought is in the description.